start streaming. Cue music. And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
Tank
and
sometimes Lisa.
and we're all here on the front lines. And I did the short intro today because we're extremely late getting started today. Well, maybe not extremely. You've had a time change, so it's late for me. So for you, it's still about still late. But is it midnight for you guys?
midnight.
Yeah.
No, for me.
Yeah.
Only for me. It's only 9 p.m. for me.
Okay, so I think for you it's 1 a.m. Not you, Lisa, but Tank, but according to my time, because my time doesn't change. So I've got to adapt. So anyway, we're here on the front lines, and the battle against the deep state, the Illuminantes, and all of those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. So there's some things going on. I was sent also what THI covered. I started reading it, and I said, "Oh wow, this is good stuff. I should read it on the air." And that's when Tank called me. I said, "Oh," because I was going to go on. But do you want to give an update, or how do you want to go, Tank?
I think probably I'll just read it off, actually, what I have.
Okay.
From the notes. 1 second here. So basically, so Sunday, the Federal Reserve called Kim and asked her to put all the systems back the way they were. If everybody remembers, I had reported that the Federal Reserve and Chase Bank were working with Kim 100%, right? So apparently by Sunday that had changed. So their attempt at flying straights, that's the way Thomas put it, apparently didn't last that long. And I don't know, and they had some, remember, told you that we had some random Chinese elder who claimed to be the first emperor, and he made a call, right? Which apparently that's all it takes for the Federal Reserve. You just call up and say that you're somebody important, and that you're, that's all it takes. So if anybody ever wants to try that, please feel free. I think that would be hilarious. Okay. So,
I can put
in Bern, Switzerland. What's that?
I was going to say I can put on my my dragon shirt, right, and that would kind of qualify me.
That's all. This is like a running joke with Kim and I. That she said maybe if I was dressed up like a little Chinese elder lady, it wouldn't work. That she wouldn't have so many problems.
Yeah.
So the little system in Bern, Switzerland, operated by the Rothschild, was done. So like done. There's nothing left to it. And that means the software for the transfers of money. So their entire system has essentially been replaced by the virtual trust network. So that's amazing news. So on Monday, the banks, clever bastards that they are, decided to reinstall a system in place before 1998.
Flashback.
That's from the AP40 system, right? So the current ANA system, the ANNA system, right, actually operates on an AP400 system. So I don't know if this is like a new previous model, but That's to the AP40 system, to the Bravo system, which was part of the Echelon system, right? So, and that was used by the FBI, CIA, Israel, and also Bill Clinton signed over all the in-ground assets to the trust around that time. So back in 1998, before the towers fell, because that's kind of all timed up, right? Before they started pumping out all the Masara rhetoric and stuff like that, Clinton had already signed over all the assets of the United States to the trust. So that is why everything in the United States has belonged to the trust.
Let me just make a comment at this time. I remember back at when that was what was going on at that time, and Clinton was signing off all these things over to the United Nations, like the actual the parks, right? They were talking about the parks, but that also was in-ground assets, everything underneath the parks. But what people didn't realize is if you looked at the map of what that parks was, it was like everything, around everything, everywhere around you, except maybe the cities themselves, but everything else that wasn't a city on it was considered a park. Even things that weren't parks, I remember some people reporting, so they said this is a park, right? And it was not a park, there was a town there.
Yeah, a park where the wild animals, also known as humans, live.
Yeah. So I remember that happening. I was so disgusted, by it, right? And I said, why is this not on the news? Why are people supporting this? I don't get this. This is stupidity. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
all right. I mean, it's all big shams. So they fired up the old KTT system, the key tested telex, to avoid the new system installed by Kim. By the way, a little teaser. When you find out what the name of KIMS system is, it's the best slap in the face to Rothschild of all time. Anyways, so delays are frustrating, but and by the way, this is very true. Delays are frustrating, but now look at the option. They're so willing to screw us over and keep us enslaved that they were willing to go back to a system based the 1990s, right? They're moving back to 30 years. It's crazy. So this is doesn't apply to us here. Oh, that doesn't apply to us. Okay, and then this is very significant, and we reported this before that this week the U.S., America, began the process to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, right?
Right.
And notice it's the Paris Climate Accord, right? Because a treaty can only be entered with sovereign nations. And because nobody's sovereign except the trust, nobody can enter a treaty. So, everybody's confused about all this stuff, right? So, and it's because they didn't really look at the Paris Climate Accord, which has nothing to do with the actual climate itself, right? It's all just a different way of distributing assets.
It's all about taxing you for breathing CO2 emissions.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with actually helping the planet itself. But the decision to withdraw by Trump makes the U.S. the sole non-signatory. Finally, confirmation that America is pulling out of the treaty when the UN was sovereign, because the UN is not sovereign anymore. So the only sovereign entity, I think, is technically America. So the UN had its sovereignty removed when it stopped its obligations. And only a sovereign can enter into a treaty. So, anyways, what else here? So this is all about the UN stealing every country's in-ground resources. That's why Clinton turned everything over. And it's all about the elites controlling the world's assets, which, we are well aware of that. So the UN right now is a bankrupt organization. And that is really inclusive of NATO at the same time, right? And that would include their entire military force. So for you guys out there in the NATO UN military team that are hiding in underground bunkers and listening to our show right now, trying to find out where the money is, it's not with the people you're with, just FYI. So, they've been running a massive world trafficking, drug trafficking, weapons trafficking everywhere, just trying to enslave everyone. And what's so stupid about it is they think it's because they're, clandestine, evil geniuses. But in reality, they were just slaves that were going to be evaporated with the rest of us. Yeah. So Now, this is something we were saying before. This is something that Kim advised for Haiti, and I do think this is smart. I thought us to put this out there, that withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, because there is money available for your country, but you're not going to get it if you've already submitted all of the assets of your country to the Rothschilds. That will never, ever, ever, ever happen again. So if you actually have the best interest of your people and your country in mind, you should withdraw from that agreement. So, because there is money available for you, but you're not going to get that money until you stop bowing down to suck from the teat of the Rothschilds. Okay? So, all right.
Wow.
That being said. And, yeah, and by the way, these are all assets that actually belong to these countries. So, the assets were mined from your countries, taken from your countries. It's really these things being returned to you. But, I 1,000% agree with Kim, and I, look, this process has been brutal. And the years before I met Kim, were brutal as well. But I will say, I would rather have gone through this to make sure that these anti-human oppressors don't get control of the world's money again. So governments have got to man up and take control of their country, take it away from the Rothschilds, withdraw from the climate agreements, because if not, you're just their, you're just their punk. I mean, you're the bitch. Sorry for everybody in Massachusetts. I know that's offensive, but
You got a $250,000 fine now.
yeah, it's fine. So let's see. Oh, okay. So trying not to. Thomas doesn't like his stuff transcribed, so this is not transcribed. This is just notes. So I just want to make sure I get it right.
I do have. I am displaying it on YouTube, just so you know.
Oh, good. Okay. So the Federal Reserve has now evidenced the new system. Now, Sunday, they wanted the old system, right? And now, Thursday, obviously that didn't work. So now for the last 42 to 70 hours, they want to engage fully and no longer interested in politics. Wow, good job, guys. Way you finally come around when you have absolutely no other option. Losers. Jeez. Whatever. But, okay. So all the securities were pledged to the trust. 2007. Oh, yeah, I already shared this. Yeah, what else?
Let me just go. Let me read something because I got this on screen. I think it's good. The following clown attempts to reset the bank's software. KIMS set up new software worldwide called Key Integrated Monetary System, or KIMS.
Oh, thank you. I missed that.
KIMS for short.
KIMS sounds great.
Hey, yeah, I love that. Like, so the new system is KIMS. not
awesome.
SIPs, not Swift, but KIMS.
They deserve every bit of that.
Yeah.
Key Integrated Monetary System. That's what I wanted to read before I was looking for it. Yeah. I love it. That is the best part of this whole thing.
I'm gonna KIMS some money to you.
But she's just a girl.
She's just a
We're
girl.
gonna send it through Kim's system. And I guess that lit them up too. They were mad about that. Like, you're a dictator. Like, hey, listen, buddy, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Like, shut that up.
Yeah, what was that 80s song? She's just the girl, just the girl you want.
But she's just a girl. Oh, that's great.
So this, I think, is important too. So the arm of Anna, the ANNA system, was the ACCA. Controlled everything else worldwide. So all of us whoever filed something with the UCC at the Treasury Department, it's not the way to actually do it, right? It's not the way it's sovereignty. This is why I have a giraffe. That's why she went to jail. She was warned, and she did it anyways. And I actually believe, I'm not sure of this, but I think Kim actually warned her. So both systems were in Belgium and got destroyed. Boom.
Boom.
So that's amazing. Yeah. So and that's where the NATO headquarters is, and enjoy that. And the monetary system is located in Bern, Switzerland. All hardware and software available to banks. They controlled and had access to who had access to the system. down with their system, and up with the VTN system, or the Virtual Trust Network. That makes me so happy I don't feel myself. So the three main controlling systems that were over the Federal Reserve were all terminated permanently.
Permanently.
The three main controlling systems that were over the Federal Reserve were all terminated permanently.
Wow. That's pretty final.
Best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope she deleted them and then bleach bitted them. Took what Hillary did to her emails, bleach bitted them.
Yeah, I love it. You know what? I am going to have KIMS shirts made up to help get the awareness out there. The Key Integrated Monetary System, KIMS, for sure.
That's great.
Yeah, the banks tried to claim it was the new RFF, and the RV was sued. What's the RFF?
RFF?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I think they probably could try to claim it was a new, QFS, quantum financial system.
They renamed it.
Yeah, they always want to. They try to take credit for everything because somehow they think, even though they haven't been able to do anything, every time they go to move money, it's like Kim's Fit picture shows up and they're smiling like, no, not here. Everything and yet they keep thinking, no, we're going to get it this way. They just keep on planning and moving. It's like, what are you guys doing? And the new KIMS system is transparent. Wow, that is going to be so much fun for years. By the way, all countries can monitor their own funds. It's like a wallet system for countries. Imagine that. Countries can monitor their own funds.
Wow.
Everything tied to the old system is now a user-friendly system, higher wages and new jobs. And that means the UN is no more. The IMF, they can gather, I guess, and have meetings, but they have a very hefty rent to pay and a back debt. And also the IMF, useless, World Bank, gone. All of these various groups, where the massive wealth of the five-star trust and the white spirit boy that everyone thinks is there, gone. Yeah, Kim does use real math. So proper wages need to be paid for people. This is something that Kim's always been big on. Like, people should have money so they can thrive, right? In other words, they can't just set up slave wages anymore for people, so that you have an oligarchy ruling the Philippines.
Right.
That you'll actually be able to get money and make a living wage where you're comfortable, and you don't have to spend 90 hours a week just to feed your family. And I agree. I hope we transfer money soon too. I don't have a schedule yet, as far as but I gotta say that is like mind-blowing, amazing, incredible news, and I want to say thank you, Kim.
Yes,
and
thank you,
the team,
Kim,
for all the work they've done, because I'm part of it in some small way, but I have no idea all the stuff that's had to go into to take down Anna. I didn't even know Anna existed until last week when Kim told me she took it down. So I didn't realize that was my first 2 years for all. But see what this, she took down the system that enslaved all of us, where all of our Holocaust identification numbers are, right? That they call Social Security numbers. All of that gone. It's incredible. That is
Well, when you say that, first thing that happens, I'm thinking, well, what happens to the people that have, Social Security checks coming, and they need to buy food and pay their bills? How does that translate?
That always came from the trust, anyways. So it wasn't like the Anna system had money in it.
Right.
It was like that's where you were registered, right? So that's like the slave trade post.
Okay.
Right?
So that's eliminated, but everyone's still going to get their checks.
Yeah, well, here, I'll give you. I actually, my Pentagon sources shared some stuff with me today. Let me just snatch it to give you a little more insight. So basically, I was told today before this happened that from the Pentagon sources that Anna was on its knees. They basically said that everything that was just read there, that Belgium, they kept the records of birth certificates, etc. The matrix is run on a system known as AS400. They all draw from Anna. the system that leaves drops on that traffic is called echelon. Like the numbers embedded in your passport, right? There's string numbers there, routing numbers. That's your master file ID. And everything you do runs through there. So your driver license, criminal records, banking history, telecommunications, all that stuff. And when you send a text or voicemail, cell number, it's all kept in the stored warehouse at the AS400.
Well, let me add something. I didn't know this, but when I had the document, I clicked on that word anna.org, and it happened to load the website. So I have the web page. I'm sharing it right now, and it's actually it says this domain may be for sale. Click here to inquire.
Does it really? That's great. That's a good day.
And they have a bunch of related links here. Fix bad credit, business franchises, business programs, business.
No, that's not right though. That's not the right one. Yeah, it's
okay.
It's Anna. It's Anna dash something else.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all, I was just excited.
Okay. I'm just confirming because I said this doesn't look like it. But anyway, it was funny to see that this may be for sale.
That's kind of what I would expect, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when the system went down, though, there was people all over who suddenly started receiving text messages and emails that were sent in like April of last year. Right now, April of last year is when Kim she shut the entire system down for like 3 hours. She resynchronized it, and she powered the entire financial system with source energy, like from the energetic field. And she basically said, she explained it and said, this is the first usage of free energy on this planet in mass, right, for a real system. And we'll basically, over the next 2 or 3 years, she said 2 or 3 years, we'll replace all of the toxic energy sources on the planet with free energy. So that's kind of a big deal.
It's huge.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking, I wonder if the guys in dark suits showed up and said you can't use free energy devices.
I'm pretty sure she's got her own group of guys with dark suits that will not let that happen.
Or you're not allowed to use free energy devices. That's against the rules.
Yeah, that would save everyone a lot of money and make people comfortable. That doesn't help us raise slaves the way they're trying to. That's the whole method. I mean, that's really what it is. They believe that we're animals and we're only motivated by war, right? Which couldn't be further from the truth, right? In their mind, in their version, it's like we'll only do things if we have war. We have to constantly build things up.
Well,
but all they're really talking about is us,
Well, it's like they make this script, the narrative, right? And they say, oh, they're like this, and so they present everything like in war scenarios, and they set up the script that we really don't seem like we have a choice, right? People just keep taking steps, and they say, why are we going down this road? Why are we being led this way, right? And all along the way, we say, why are we now killing people, right? And they keep the script going, right? And so they say, see, that's how humans are. They're like this. But they're the ones that set the scenario up and kind of convinced us that this is, life and death situation, the fight or flight response, and most people that flee, they get, they go into another program, right? that supports the other program. So they just manage things back and forth.
It's all about if you are, skilled enough and you convince everyone around you that the things that you value are wrong, and we'll tell you what's valuable, right? So now I take everything that you think is valuable and I spit on it and throw it in the garbage. Then I say, okay, what's valuable is this paper. This paper is valuable. And if you don't have this paper, you can't do anything. And you see people with a lot of that paper, and they're doing all types of amazing things, right?
Right.
And your whole life becomes around, like, how do I get that paper? I need more of it, right? Or I clearly don't have enough. And it's like now everything in your life comes around how you value yourself. Which, by the way, this is the whole basis for the Green Lantern theory, is that we need to stop measuring our worth by money. We have to find other ways. And that's what I think is going to be a long, growing process for humanity. because we're so used to saying, well, this means I'm successful, right? But like, what if you measure success in happiness? You know, what would be the measure of your success, right? Like, are you happy? Or, you know, whatever. Is your life complete? Have you contributed to make the world a better place? You know, there's a million ways that they're all part of, you know, that money should not be. The bottom line means that we built it off of that. The foundation was money. Well, if money becomes just one of the many ingredients in our existence, it's going to be really exciting to see how people redefine themselves, you know.
Right. No, it is. It's people are amazing, right? And once people have secured their ability to live without strife, you know. And I'm not saying we can strive towards creation instead of striving to pay a bill, right?
Oh my gosh! Imagine the amazing things we'll be able to create. You know, there's an erroneous scripture that was planted in the Bible, right? And the erroneous scripture says, when they cry peace and safety, sudden destruction will come upon them, right? Now that was added there by the cabal, right? It was added there so no one, you know, would ever really want to have peace and be safe, right? And then sudden destruction would come, like, because people would always be afraid. Mm-hmm. So it's just part of the fear matrix, and I'm always examining these things because it's heartbreakingly tragic when you think about it. Like, so in other words, if you don't have peace and safety, it means you're going to have war and fear at all times. I mean, unsafe, but you know, whatever the opposite. I mean, that's a horrible way to live. And anybody who's ever been, you know, like this whole myth of the starving artist. Do you know how hard it is as an artist to really create when you're worried that, like, you're going to turn your lights off, or how are you going to eat? Right. Nobody can do that. I mean, like, and I've lived that way before. Like, I tried to go that route for 6 months of my life. I remember I would sell a painting, I would buy another canvas and some paints, and like pay like one bill, maybe buy a meal, paint something else, but sell it. I mean, like, and I was selling for much less than what, you know, I thought it was worth, right? Right. And it wasn't like I was like killing, like, selling a painting every day. Like, you know, it would take me a couple of weeks sometimes to finish painting. So, you know, it's a miserable way to exist. It's miserable, you know. And anyone, when you feel safe, like, it's okay to create, right? It's where you get the best out of people. You know, even in relationships, marriages end because of sex and money, right? Well, part of that is because, you know, if a woman doesn't feel safe and taken care of, she's not going to want to be with a guy. You've also weaponized sex against, you know, everybody. And then, well, if money is a constant issue and you're always stressed out trying to make more money, you don't get time to spend with your family, your wife, your kids. You know, what kind of quality of life do you have? So all these tools have been used against us to destroy the family. And actually, Thomas did a great job. He was talking about, you know, for a little while, he was talking about how they've attacked black families, right? How this whole system, the whole welfare state system, right? It's like, it was a trap, right? They told everybody they're victims, right? All black people, you're all victims, you need reparations. And it was basically like, you know, told we're all victims, and then trapped them in certain areas where they could afford to live, and then put them on welfare. Then broke it. And I know this happens for a fact. They literally incentivized them to get divorced. So then the man leaves, and then you got a woman with kids, and she makes more money from more kids she has on her own. So, and it's not comfortable money; it's survival money.
Right. And the thing is that though the amount keeps going up, because you're actually feeding another mouth, it doesn't actually put you ahead in any way. You actually go a little bit further down the poverty trail, right? Because it's not enough to, you know, to care for a child properly.
No, it's not. I mean, it's you know, it's like I look at, you know, any area that's like gathered together like one race of people, and it always gets run down. And it's intentional. You know, it's like whatever was comfortable at home. It's like, you know, South Jamaica and Queens. There's parts of it that are nice, you know, and then but a lot of it still run down. You go to the neighborhood I used to live in Floral Park, and it got taken over basically by, a predominantly Indian families, right? And Indians live like 10, 15 people in a house sometimes, So you had a lot more per capita per house, right? So just inevitably it's going to have more wear and tear on it. So the whole neighborhood just kind of got, still nice neighborhood, but it's just kind of run down a little bit. And took away nice little restaurants and put up, 99-cent stores because, you got a merchant class of Indians come over and that's kind of what they decided what was best for the business.
Right.
So, anyways, I'm just saying this whole victim mentality, right? Like, I'm watching this right now. There's this nurse out there. Now we work with Rachel, who is the forensic nurse. Now Rachel's great because she actually offers solutions, right? Like she doesn't just say, we got to stop the machine of making vaccines. She's also like, but if you've had vaccines, here's ways you can reverse it, right? And she explains it. And she's holistic like that, right? And amazingly, there's another nurse who also talks about vaccines, right? Who's very pretty and very well spoken, and she lives right near Rachel, right? They've spoken, they spent time, but Rachel isn't particularly in agreement with her because this nurse, what she does is she follows the money, and she never offers solutions. All she does is talk about the problem. So I did some research on it. I'm like, well, and I checked with some of my guys. I'm like, I know exactly what she is. Like, this is the psyops, right? So her job is to bring awareness to all that's being done, in her noble cause to fight vaccines, right? But yet she never offers a solution.
Right.
She'll speak on Congress, she'll be on TV, she just says stuff.
So people think that there's someone that's doing something and they don't get active.
Right. So because it doesn't affect them directly at this time, maybe, right? Yeah. And there's this, pretty well-spoken professional. Why would I have to get involved, right? That's what happens all the time. I mean, my God, you can pretty much look at our government and say that's all they do is talk about stuff and do nothing.
Right.
I mean, if all you had to look at was the Democrats right now and what they've accomplished in the past 3 years, what have they done?
Impeachment.
Well, no, they have they is it official or they're officially launching official investigation?
Attempted impeachment. That's what they keep attempting impeachment. This is there's so much to go from there. You covered some major topics. So the ones that are stopping us from actually participating, because they are the controlled opposition, right? That's the tactic, right? They bring out someone to address the issue because they know there's the people doing it, and then they can also then kind of like skew things one way or another to divert from the main issue. Right here, look over here, don't look over here. But that's one of the tactics. But yeah, in government, then anyone that actually comes up with solutions is a problem, right? So they go and attack the ones that actually are bringing solutions to the table. So,
right.
And this is also part of the problem when you have a government that's installed permanent people, right? Governments should not be permanent in regard to the people operating in them, right? Everyone should be in a very temporary basis. If it is to be ongoing concern, it should not be in the purview of a government, right? Even other than the lawmakers themselves, and if they want to make laws, and if they want to make laws, they should be making the law. It shouldn't be coming from a think tank that they all just vote on, right? Because it's the same. They're just a mouthpiece repeating what people want. Their people want them to say, right? So to keep the illusion going, right? It doesn't solve the problem again. So, coming up with real solutions, we need to be able to evaluate them and determine if they're actually working. If they don't work, they must end. I think every law should have an end date. So, Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that kind of gave us a direction. Let's say, well-meaning environmental law. Let's say, okay, you have a gas station that is put into place, and it's going to go out of service, right? And they're going to now take that land, and they want to build something on it. Well, you can't. It might be contaminated, right? So it's a good idea to make a law that says, hey, we have to check and make sure that these things are safe, right? So you put that law into place to say, okay, for the next, and it lasts for 10 years. Now everyone starts doing it that way. And, people will say afterwards, it's a good idea we keep doing this. Not under force of law, but because they want to do it, and even adapt it, right? They might want to make stronger. People, boots on the ground, may say, hey, you know what? We need to really do this for 17 years. And they just go about it and doing it. It's more like it becomes more of a suggestion after that. I mean, it might be.
No, but I think it's, I think the most important thing to do with anything is the people that live in the neighborhood, live in the community, live in the area, they need to represent the area.
Right.
And solutions have to come from them. You can't just go into an area. We have to get over the, I hate the way they've reversed racism. I mean, I could care less about racism. Racism is a fabricated concept that was created and then we acted it out because we were told, that this group's racist and that group's racist and these people are this and these people are that, from people who had no idea, right? And who really didn't know anyone like that. They created this narrative and they fed it to us, right? They were the slave masters. They broke up our families. They brought some of the slaves in the house and they indoctrinated them one way, so they hated themselves and they hated where they came from. And they thought they were part of the family. And they would be there all the time, like they were part of the family. And they were serving them, but they like dressed nice, like they had advantages. And then one day it was time to move, or the slave wanted to leave, and who was a house slave, and he was like, you don't get to leave, because you don't have that option, and that's the reality is that we were all bought into something that was an illusion.
Right.
At some point in our life, we all have, right? We think something is real and it's not, or whatever. And because of this, you have all of these false biases that are created. So you have to have people. This is the number one thing I put on everything we do and create change. You have to do a needs assessment. You have to go in and find out who's in the community and empower them to change it.
Right.
Because, and you have to do that from the beginning.
Yeah.
You don't get to go in, do all your stuff, and then be like, hey, what do you think? No, it's too late by then, right? By then, you've now destroyed something people loved or, completely addressed it the wrong way without even examining or considering what's great and amazing about the community, right? And because you don't know what's amazing about the community, you might have already destroyed it, right? And now, and that's the problem. And like, that's what you're seeing all over the place. You got Alexandria Cortez, this freaking, I had hope for her that she would flip, right? But instead, she's supporting a punch a cop movement, a punch a cop movement, right? And this whole thing is like these people claiming cops are racist. All cops are racist? Don't you realize that what you're saying is just a different form of racism?
No,
it's
she doesn't realize
bias.
No, she's just a controlled puppet. That's all. She doesn't have her own thoughts. She's just repeating what she's been told to say. That's why
she's a chicken head. Yeah, I know.
A chicken head. Okay, we'll use these official terms here. Chicken head.
Yeah, careful. You probably shouldn't say that. Anyways.
Chickens are going to get upset.
Yeah. But, so, I'm just watching it all unfold. And you know what? Now we've got the other pieces in place. So We know what causes the fight for, how they're trying to poison us. The next step is to stop it, right?
Right.
So, and if we're actually able to be empowered and move with money and actually start to implement projects, we'll finally be able to dictate the tempo, rather than jumping through hoops to find different ways to give them our money. Right? And that's, my gosh, that's so exciting. I can't wait.
Yes. I'm excited as well. Well, maybe it's this week. It looks like it. If the Fed is saying,
what else are they going to do?
Put back the system the way it was, and they're stamping their feet while they say it.
I know. Everyone who works at the Federal Reserve, I don't know what they're doing. They haven't had anything to do in a year.
Well, that's normal government, though.
Right. So hopefully we'll have a meeting. But it's like you slip back down to this. It's the rut, right? Like a wagon would go down a path, and it would go down the path so many times it would create a very easy path to ride on. But inevitably you'd have some of the ground that was weak, so you get a rut from the rain, right? So you get a wagon and it gets stuck in the rut. Even when you try not to go in the wagon trail, it's very easy to slip right back into it. So it's going to take conscious, effort, observation, the will and intention to want change, to want things better. Now, if you're in the Federal Reserve and you've always been, balling out like a fat cat and, like having a wonderful life, and you could care less what people on the ground are going through because they're your servants and in your mind, they're less than you. Well, I would say that every single person at the Federal Reserve, they all have to be fired, all of them, immediately. They don't have the right to work there. They don't have the right to manage anyone's money. They ran the financial system into the ground as part of a massive plot to kill 90% of the population. I don't care what they have to say. They don't have the right to judge or monitor anything. I don't care how many. They can be, as far as I'm concerned, they're the experts. They're no more. They don't have any more right to be over money and human vitality and that process than somebody who's the national champion in Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something, Dragon Man, Dungeons and Dragons. Like, doesn't matter. That skill expertise doesn't apply to this world.
Hey,
because the world we're in.
Hey, I like Dungeons and Dragons. That skill is very appropriate now.
Man, I did it. I like Purels, so I didn't play, but
well,
I didn't feel like that was the path to go to get girls.
Yeah, but if you want to have girls in Dungeons and Dragons, you can find them. And don't call them trolls. Don't go there.
Lisa, you wanted us to talk about something with impeachment that you had some article on.
Oh yeah, that's.
I think I sent it to Dan a few days ago. Dan, do you still have it?
I don't know, but a few
It should be in your Telegram.
And a few days ago, that's like very old news.
So much is changing. But it's kind of the process of what would happen if they actually impeached him. Like the step by step. I hijacked it from, I think, Facebook, and it was somebody had a PhD. And
there's YouTube on here. Is that what you mean?
No.
Oh, an article. Oh, okay. Oh, there's something here. It's a long one.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
It breaks it all down.
I see it. Yeah. Well, I can. Let's see. I can see if I can. I'll try and share this screen and see what happens.
See what happens. Like,
the system blows up.
I think it's going to show us your screen.
Well, I know where we may see it, but it's just what does it look like when I make it out onto YouTube? That's what I'm concerned with.
It looks like you're into emojis a lot.
Yeah, I use emojis because a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
Let's see, is it going to show? I'm sharing my screen now, but I don't know if it's showing.
All right, so let's see. House can pass the articles of impeachment. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Senate will conduct a trial. There will be a vote.
Yeah,
The voters will vote unanimously.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's not showing. That's why I was confirming before I started anything. So I got to make a screen for it. I just want to confirm.
Oh, I got you. We can just read through it, Dan. I was just curious what the
Go ahead.
what it's about. But we don't got to go through all that tonight. It was just something basically just what we confirmed, right? Because it's basically that if President Trump was impeached, it would just give opportunity to bring out all the stuff on the other side.
They would actually give them us an opportunity to bring up everything, and he would never be impeached or removed, and he could still be president. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what are they doing?
Well, maybe they're just they're good guys, and they're just taking a sacrifice for the team.
Yeah, I'm not thinking no.
I'm totally kidding. There's no way
I know. Yeah, they've all turned, and they're just helping him, and just it's all a game. It's not real, right? They're just pretending to not like him. Yeah,
you would think their overlords, right? Their masters have all told them to basically stand down, right?
Well, you would think so, except I think that their overlords also don't have any commands given to them. So everything, since Kim is not, sending the messages out, they're all kind of like walking around on the old plan.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
Well, I think it's exciting news. I think what came out tonight on Thomas's show is exciting. I think she's doing a lot of great things. I think it can't be too far off. I mean, they can't live without money. They don't know how. So it's only a matter of a short amount of time before they collapse, right?
Well, Well, right now we can see that Trump is not he's in a position where he's, like Dan Bongino said today, he's like taking a flamethrower to them and torching them, just going, blowing, just vaporizing them, because at this point now he's reading the thing that they started their coup. It's in writing, right? 2 years ago, right? So this is a coup. They are now expressing it, and even the popularity, or the polls are now it's dropped like below 50% to 47%, saying that you should investigate. So it's starting to creep in. That's going to keep decelerating, right? And when this completely falls apart, this is, I think, when they really say, okay, here's the IG report, here's the declassification. This is what these people have been doing. Epstein, the hammer, Obama, Hillary, Bushes. And it's just going to be one right after the other. And people are going to be so disgusted that they're going to want to throw out all the Democrats and all the Republicans. And that's why the new party will be there, the American Party. I think we should just start it right here, right now.
Well, and I actually...
or the Human Empowerment Party. How about that?
The more I've got involved in it too, I realize it really will require. So if anybody knows anybody out there, the RUS organization, the Republic of the United States, or the National Assembly, the National Liberty Alliance, or the Republic with a CK at the end there, which these are all different groups that are trying to restore the original republic, right? Mm-hmm. And they're doing things that are good. They are. They're doing
trying.
Things that are good.
They're making an
right.
effort.
But they've all been kicked in the face, right?
Right.
It just like they actually, I believe, one of the main guys from the National Assembly, I think he got, he actually got put in jail at one point. But from what I understand, he was like the master of this. He would walk up. He wouldn't walk in and say he understood anything.
Right. I will not understand you.
Outside the line.
I will not stand under you.
Right. Well, he would stand before he'd walk into the court. He said, "I will not." He would not walk across that line into their court. So it would be like yelling at the judge. But I guess he had so much success, right? Because he was using the actual law, and the bar system and the admiralty courts, they don't actually know the law.
Right, they don't.
And our new legal advisor, one of our legal advisors who's amazing, who actually had some of the vaccines recalled she and I were talking. We had the exact same idea. Look, the way to change the entire law structure, to bring back, to restore the constitutional law, because you can't do anything if there's no law, because no one respects anything, no one enforces anything, right?
Right.
So, but we both had the same idea. You go with the vaccine because the vaccine affects everybody. They're about to have an adult schedule to make every adult get revaccinated, right? That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, how can anyone approve that, right? When I mean, it's like Starbucks passing a law that everyone has to have Starbucks coffee every day. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh, and there's a little bit, and there's some poison in it too.
Yeah, oh, right.
Is there?
Right.
Is there?
Well, no, we're just giving an example.
Oh, okay.
Starbucks, if Starbucks commanded, you have only can drink Starbucks coffee, and it has poison. But if you're going to drink coffee, and you have to drink coffee, and it has to be Starbucks, and there's poison in it.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's definitely a conflict of interest there, right? Like, we can't continue down this path and call that government. That's not a government. That is a corporate takeover. That's what happened. So but this was in there too, and this is the most important part. All of the UCC filings, all of the Universal Corporate Code, right? All of that is in the trust. So you know what that means? That means there is nothing that is not, there's nothing that is not governed by the trust. So the trust is giving people away, like Kim is giving people away, the countries, individuals, but in this case, when we're talking about the countries, away out of that system. And she's saying, opt out of the Paris Climate Agreement, because the Paris Climate Accord is just another version. It's another version of the same corporate structure. That really is the Rothschilds trying to get us to, opt into another, infinity agreement, right?
Right.
Where they get to rule everything. And because people are used to it, that's easy. Countries are used to that. Even this general, one of my contacts was speaking to was like, no, that's not how things work. And that's the problem. That's what they all think. Because things never worked, really. They never worked in our favor anyway. So, but in their mind, that's how it worked. Well, no, they didn't work. They never worked that way, the way you think, right? But they all got used to pandering to this other group.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing.
Well, it's just habit, right? Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
So breaking the habit, changing your ways, having one meal a day. This is my 5 days in a row I've had one meal a day, except for this morning. I was hungry.
Good job.
So I ate some leftovers from last night. But
so this is a choice. You're trying to eat one meal a day?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not because you don't have any food. Okay, I'm just making sure, Dan.
It's a very good question. I appreciate that. Yeah, but at this moment, I'm good on that front because of some very generous donators that have helped out quite a lot, and so that's put some things. I had to think about anything for these last couple of weeks, so that's good. Just working.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And you could see, my mind was set, and I showed you what I've been working on the last couple of weeks, and so so good results. Thank you everyone who has helped.
That's awesome. Yeah. So one meal a day, Dan. What are you eating for that one meal?
It hasn't. There's no particular diet, right? Because I'm kind of easing into it, right? And also my wife.
Just minimizing your intake of food. It sounds
right. Because last night, my wife made pasta. That's not really the most slimming of meals, but
no.
But I just if you have one meal a day, I mean, your body will process it.
Yeah. Your body can use the carbs probably if you're only having one meal a day. So.
Yeah. So I had, like today. This is like the first time in 5 days that I had a second or a morning meal, because I normally when I'm trying to reduce my weight or get in a different soup. I don't eat during the day, right? I only eat at night, figuring I'm burning calories all day, and then in the evening I have my meal. And that seems to have worked every time that I've done it. And after a couple of weeks, I'm not hungry, right? During the day. So also, like I said, it was, I had some serious cravings today. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to eat. Might have been because it was pasta, and it's those bugs saying, "Hey, eat more pasta, sugar, 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 sugar."
Yeah, once you have it, your body just wants more of it, right?
Yeah. So I had more pasta.
Well, yeah, that's all I got, man.
Well, that's quite a lot. We covered quite a lot. That's a good broadcast.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be excited about what's going on.
Yep. Exciting stuff today. Good stuff.
All right, well, let's
hey, let's hope it's our last show. Tomorrow we'll just go. We'll get great.
Yeah, and then we start vacations, and I'll be seeing you.
Are we still going to Fiji? That's my main question.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, just making sure. I don't know. I just want to know if we're all going to Fiji.
Lisa, I'm gonna tell you right now. Dan will definitely be there before us, because before we're going to Fiji, we got work to do.
Oh, really? Okay. So Dan's going to be in Fiji, and we're going to be working. Okay.
Dan represents the create change interests in that part of the world, anyways. It's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I'll represent.
Represent us in Fiji. Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much.
Wearing a hula dress
Dan, I think you need an assistant. And
he could probably find one down there.
Yeah.
No, I'm volunteering. I'm just trying to help out here, Tank. You're really cramping my style here, Tank.
Let me check with headquarters.
Thanks a lot, Tank.
That's a good one. All right, everyone.
Dan, this last thing, Tank has refused to do shows with me, so I'm going to be crashing your show as often as possible.
No problem. You come in anytime you want, and then
that's a lie.
And we'll have to change your name. And I'll be more often Lisa.
Yeah, I'll be on. It'll be Dan and Lisa. I'll be Tank. I guess we can invite you tonight. We changed the password. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Dan's blushing. Dan's bright red. I'm totally kidding. I just had to say it.
All good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good night. Thank you.
Hey, listen, everybody. Lisa's been fired, but
but she just keeps coming back. I can't get rid of her. All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
bye.